Yo, we're going to have a look at Born to Be Wild by Steppenwolf, but this is just our tutorial, so we're not going to play the tune fully. We're just actually going to look at all the individual bits and talk about how to play them. So from start to finish, what a rockin' tune. Now, this tune starts with what we would call in classical terms an anacrusis, where we play 1, 2, 3, bow, bow, down, 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 right? And that flam happens on beat 4 before the song starts. So if you're playing with a backing track, that will be very, very tricky to get. I would typically recommend to press play, listen for that flam, 1, 2, 3, ba bow, and just join with that crash, or they say crash the ride. Now, one thing that's kind of important throughout the whole tune, anytime we're playing the hi-hat in particular, we really want to give a little bit of a pulse to that quarter note. So even though we're playing eighth notes, we should really hear a little bit of a pulse. Da, 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 da. And I would certainly recommend just putting the tune on, and just getting really comfortable with that. If your hi-hat really struggles to keep up, you're going to struggle to play the whole tune, let me tell you. So first things first, just getting comfortable with our time setter, because then you'll find I like smoking lightning, heavy metal thunder, etc. Now, going from front to back, we start off with this kind of syncopated groove. And you've got to be careful, because it's almost always a 2-bar phrase that we're going to play as well. So 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, 4 is our first phrase. And the telltale indication that it's a 2-bar phrase for me is that we've got a bass drum on the and of 4 and then a bass drum on the and of 1. So we play that syncopation over the bar line. 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Now in our first line as well, we've got this little fill, a 3 and 4 and I would play that left, kick, crash. So coming out of that that first line, 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1 and 2, a 3 and 4 and, right? Then the second time, instead of which will come back, so get comfy with that one, instead we'll see a 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1, a 2. That leads us into the verse. The verse, again, it's a 2-bar phrase, but be careful, the bass drum does move around a little bit, so just keep your eyes peeled. We've got another a 3 and 4 and that leads us to the pre-chorus. Then we really kick it up a notch with the bass drum. Instead of going to a chorus, we go back to another verse. I like smoking lightning. And then we've got that a 3 and 4 and that leads us into the pre-chorus. Yeah, darling, gotta make it happen. Take it on to another place. Fire all of the guns at once and explode into it. And then we need to know that our part on drums, we go to the chorus a bar early. We act as the launch ramp into the chorus. We move to the ride cymbal, we keep our quarter note pulse going, and instead we're actually going to move the primary pulse to our left hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you'll have heard grooves like this before in maybe in a whole lot of different settings, but here the snare plays that primary role. And our bass drum does this really cool syncopation. 1, 2, 3 and 4 and what we get is a relationship now. If you really struggle with that, especially with the bass drum part, something that you can do to make it a little bit easier is just leave out beat 3 on the bass drum. That way you've got both, as in both snare and kick, both, snare, kick. So on beats 3 and 4, they just swap over. Snare, kick. If you can squeeze that bass drum in on beat 3 and it would normally be both kick, then absolutely do that. But if you struggle with it, just change beats 3 and 4 and to 3 and 4 and. Alright? And that bit's kind of got to have a bit of build to it. What do we have? Like a true nature's child, you were born to be wild. We can fly so high, never bit there is a bit of a tricky one for us to get texturally, especially if you've never done this kind of a thing before. It's very difficult to get it to sound really smooth. It's very easy for it to sound, you know, very jolty and very skippy. So my advice to you, you'll see that we start loud and then it goes instantly quiet and draws itself back up. So I would hit that crash nice and loud and proud. And then when I move to my hi-hat, I've already got it a little bit open. So it's ready to sizzle. All right, whilst it's sizzling here, I can open it up more. I can let that ring out. The main thing that I need to do through these 2 bars is count. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. That way I can catch that crash on the born to be. Well, that bit's really important. So it almost doesn't matter how clean or messy this bit is, as long as I hit that crash on beat 1 really clean. Now the first time we do it here, we leave a 2-bar gap. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. Then going on. Right, this thing here up on tom 1. The second time, or the time that we play the chorus later, we'll play a crash every bar rather than every 2 bars. Now, this is that tricky bit, this tom 1 bit at the end of every chorus. Now, we play an accent on the R2E and R3E and R4E and. So we really are thinking left-right in those accents. So if you're just playing straight 16th notes, 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and R1E and R2E and R3E and R4E and R1. I'm thinking left-right, and the right always lands on the beat. R1E and a 2E and a 3 and a 4 and R. Now I believe, I may be wrong, but I think our part in the tune here goes a little bit Australian time, so definitely keep your ears open and play it a little softer if you need to. Remember that we're not front and center in this part in the chorus. It's really all about the vocals. Born to be wild, etc. Now, when we get after that, after the organ solo. What's actually during the organ solo where it goes we move our right hand down to the floor tom, and we've still got this 4 on the snare thing, and we've got both. I'll take away my floor tom for a second. We've got both kick, snare, kick, snare, kick, snare, kick every bar. And we match that with our 8th notes on the bass drum. Oh, sorry, on the floor tom. In this last bit of that phrase, it just changes to everything on the 8th note except for the snare. Right? Last bit of that before we get back to a verse. This is probably the most look at me part of the tune for us on drums. We've got this tiny little break, and I'll play it for you. It sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ah, come on, Malcolm. I'll do that again for you. 1, 2, 3, 4. Bum ba da bum ba da bum ba da bum ba da ba. Now, if you were to count that, it's a very, very syncopated line. What I find a lot easier is just to remember that we play crash, left, right, crash, left, right, crash, left, right, crash, left, right, crash, snare. Right? And when we hear that in the phrase, bum ba da bum ba da bum ba da bum ba da bum ba. Right? And then it's just about getting it nice and comfy in the phrase. So once you get comfy with this idea, add a couple of bars before it, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. And once you get comfy with that, slowly bring it up to tempo and add a few bars on either side of it. So I'll play 3 bars before and I'll play a few bars after. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? And more or less, that is the whole tune. Everything else that we play following that, a verse, another pre-chorus, another chorus, is essentially a carbon copy of something that we've already done in the tune. Now the outro is a little bit different. We add this 3E and a 4E under, little snare lick, right? And it reckons that we do that every 2 bars. I think if you were playing this tune in your band at home, every 2 bars you could do a slightly different fill. Or something like that. And then essentially we just do a fade on repeat. So there's not much else really to look at in the tune. Of course, easier said than done to put it all together in one go. So take it slowly, take it section by section, work on the hard bit on its own, and then add something to the front and back of it to put it in context of a phrase. Awesome. Join me again and we'll play this tune.